Howdy folks, Texas Grebner here with Texas Grebner Outdoors. New videos every Saturday, so if you don't want to miss out on your Texas Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness, make sure to click subscribe, check that notification box, and check my channel every Saturday for new videos. I love reading your comments, and I really do appreciate all of you that watch. Today I wanted to share with you some bushcraft footage from Peter Capstick's Elephant Safari DVD by Sportsman on Film. They've been gracious enough to allow me 5 minutes of this DVD as a promotional material, and because I think it's something that will be of great interest to you, I wanted to show you Peter Capstick documenting real Kalahari Bushmen tribe survival tactics. So I hope you guys will enjoy this segment from Capstick's Elephant Safari.
What I'm holding between my fingers is death. Doesn't look like much. It's the chrysalis of a Grebner beetle, which is a relatively unusual species, which is found in different types of species of the Comifera tree, and also under certain marula trees, which are an African fruit. You won't find them in your backyard in California. But this little chap forms a chrysalis, which is the little brown thing I'm holding in my hand. And the chrysalis contains a grub. And the grub is the basis of most of the Bushman poison. Now, other Bushmen, the Juwasi, well, let me put it this way. In the south, further south, some Bushmen use a vegetable poison. But this is the most universally feared, the most famous, and the most deadly, because it's an animal poison, coming from a grub as it does. Now what we're going to do is have our Bushman friend here show us how he actually prepares the poison, how he mixes it and prepares it, puts it on the arrow, and what the final result will be. And there goes the head and the fire. Now those are personal instructions for those of you who'd like to adopt this fine art. Yeah, this caterpillar is a bit dry, so he's going to add the aloe juice to it a bit more. If you read the literature on Bushman poison, you'll find that they tend to try, much as the East Africans do, to put the arrow in the stomach or the kidneys. It tends to work much quicker. Okay, now he's actually applying the poison itself to the part of the shaft, the wire shaft of the arrow, which has been wrapped in sinew, behind the head. The head itself remains clear. Yeah. Right in front of his thumb is that white joint where it will break off if an animal runs against a bush or another, in some other manner, disrupts the shaft. But the poison and the poisoned head and shaft will stay in. Right now we'll start to dry it a bit. I think one of the most interesting things in my years of knowing the Bushmen is seeing how they prepare a guinea fowl snare, how they set it, and hopefully how it works. So let's start off with first things first and make the actual string for the snare. And in this case, you can see he's reducing this sansevieria to the element of raw string. You see what he's doing is actually rolling it against his leg. It's pretty simple. He hasn't been doing it for a couple of thousand years. This is going to be put in with the loop side up, and it's going to act as an anchor. And that'll just make it to the top of the surface. Now the first thing he's going to do, having established the whip stick or the spring stick, he's going to measure it against the trigger, which is just about here. And you can see it's quite powerful. It's like a small bow. And I imagine for a brief moment it's rather unpleasant for a guinea fowl. Next step is to affix the bait. And that's that little wild onion. Now you see he's just holding that in place with his thumb. That little trigger mechanism, that tiny twig. Then he takes the bait, and it's a most delicate set. It's just held in place by the leverage of the trigger mechanism. You can see how delicate it is. Now, we're going to be setting the loop itself. Now the guinea fowl must put his head through the snare. And the moment he touches that, which is impaled on this thorn here, this thing goes off. I think it's just incredible to have the luck to walk in on these local Jawassi who've just found a fantastically big, would you call it a bee's nest?
Yeah.
And they've already gotten out, I would guess, probably 35 or 40 pounds of the most superb honey.
Oh, that's one of the heaviest finds I've witnessed so far. You know, I've seen them break open a tree and chop open a tree, you know, and get 3-4 pounds out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this is really sappy, full. You know, the honey is just really, it is literally flowing out of the wax.
The comb, yeah.
Combs.
Right. And the thing that fascinates me is that we asked them, and they use apparently just any smoke will do. They don't apply it too heavily, but the entire beehive is plastered together like a solid object against one of the branches of a tree about 15 yards from here. They are stinging a few people occasionally, but I think it's probably when they swat at them. But generally, there's enough bees right here to kill all of us stone dead before we could ever make it back to the car.
Thing is, First Nation type cultures that live in primitive conditions where they have an unbroken line of their traditions and their hunting background, those dudes are awesome. And the fact is, they know where to set their traps, their snares, and how to hunt their game with boring regularity, because it is about subsistence, not sport. And we as first world type people pale in comparison to their skill and their own teachings. And so I wanted to take time and show you this clip from Capstick's Elephant Safari, because safari means journey, and Capstick as a narrator actually takes time in this video to go into the culture of the people that he hunts with on his elephant safari, rather than simply glorifying the death of an elephant. So I'll put a link down in the description where you can find this DVD if you want to order it. If you do, make sure to tell Sportsman on Film where you found out about them, because they've been gracious enough to allow me this footage in order to share it with you guys. And I thought that it would be very interesting to you as potential bushcrafters to see how they make their arrows, how they make their snares, and how they get a good sugar buzz in a calorie-poor environment. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please check out my friends over at SOETacticalgear.com. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. And thanks for watching Texas Grebner Outdoors.